everybody. How lovely for me to see all of you. If you've been keeping an eye on the St Andrew's Church YouTube channel, you might have seen that there's already a Bible story on that channel for this week. This is another one. We're doing 2 this week because I know that some of the children who are watching this video, those are the children from the Wetheralls Primary School, are thinking about generosity. Generosity is one of our Christian values. What does it mean if you're generous? What does it mean if you show generosity? Have a little think. When I was thinking about what does it mean to show generosity, I thought of 2 parables. Parables are stories in the Bible that Jesus told. One of the parables that I thought of is already on our YouTube channel. That is called the parable of the prodigal son. Maybe you could watch that story and think, who shows generosity in that parable? Who shows generosity in that parable? Now I'm going to tell you another parable, another story that Jesus told, which is one that I thought of as well. I'm going to put the Bible behind me. The parable of the prodigal son is in Luke's Gospel, and this parable, which is called the parable of the sower, is in Matthew's Gospel. I'll put the Bible behind me so we remember that these are stories that are in the Bible, stories that Jesus told. So, in Matthew's Gospel, it says, that Jesus went to sit. Where's Jesus? There he is. He's waving at you. Jesus went to sit beside the sea. And large crowds of people came to him. Crowds and crowds and crowds and crowds came to him. And there were so many people. Matthew says there were so many people that Jesus got into a boat and sat there to talk to the people, while the people stood on the beach. And this is the story that Jesus told them. Jesus said, a man went out to sow some seeds. See the seeds? A man went out to sow some seeds. He's going to throw his seeds. This is why I thought of him, because he threw seeds everywhere. Everywhere. If we're generous, we're people who give everything we've got, aren't we? We don't go, oh, I think you can just have that little bit, or you can just have a little bit. No. If we're generous, we say, have loads. Have loads. The sower sowed the seeds. The sower went out to sow the seeds. And Jesus said, some seed fell on the path. And can you see what these are? The birds came and ate it up. The birds came and ate it up. Jesus said that some seed, there's a little bit, fell on rocky ground. It didn't have much soil, so it grew up quickly. But because it didn't have much soil, it didn't have very good roots. So when the sun came up, it scorched the seeds. That means it burnt them. It scorched the seeds, and the plants withered and died. Jesus says that some of the seed fell among thorns. Can you see? You see the prickles? Some of the seed fell among thorns. Another thorn. More prickles. Some of the seed fell among thorns, and, well, it started to grow. But the thorns grew as well, and they choked the little seeds. They choked the little plants that had grown. And those little plants died. But then Jesus said, some of the seed fell on good soil. And it grew. And it grew. And it grew. And it grew. And it produced crops. It produced 40, some 100 times what was sown. And Jesus said to the people who were listening, listen, if you have ears to hear. That was the end of the parable. The good thing about the parables is that we can think about them and think, what does that parable mean to me? What does that parable mean to me? When I was thinking about generosity, I was thinking that maybe to me, that parable meant that, just like that man threw loads of seed, just like he threw loads of seed, he wasn't just really cautious, was he? He wasn't thinking, I'd better not sow very much just in case my seed doesn't grow. He thought, no, I'm going to throw loads of seed. Loads of seed. And in the end, it was all worth it, wasn't it? In the end, it was all worth it. Because even though he had some disappointments, in the end, the crops grew. And I think sometimes when we are generous, sometimes that lovely things happen when we're generous. People say, oh, thank you. Thank you for being generous. Thank you. I would like to be your friend. Thank you for being generous. Sometimes we're generous and nobody notices at all. Nobody notices at all, and we think, well, what was the point of that? And I think this parable says to me, even when it feels like there's no point at all in being generous, keep going. Keep being generous. Just like that man kept sowing his seed, because in the end, lovely things might happen. I'm going to say a prayer. If you'd like to make it your prayer, you can say Amen at the end. Dear God, thank you for the stories in the Bible. Thank you for the parables, the stories that Jesus told. Thank you that we can think about them and think what they mean to us. Amen. That's the end of today's story. See you another time.